Okay, so today what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to build up a base for a piece of headwear using Sinamay, and Sinamay is a fabric that is used by milliners, which are basically professional hat makers. And the great thing about it is that it's really, really malleable, which means it can be bent around different types of shapes. It can form a base on your actual head. And when you turn it over and we actually maybe put it onto somebody's head in a real life situation, you can apply a comb onto it, a piece of elastic, or some kind of clasp clip. Okay. Preparation is really important when you are working with the Sinamay, because we're going to be using a glue with it. In class we use a head to form our shape around, and therefore we need to ensure that the head is protected, and we do that by applying a roll of cling film around it. Okay, so when I'm ready to actually start to build the base, I want to think about the size that's going to cover my head. If it's going to be something that's quite large, I'm going to need to cut fairly large sizes of the Sinamay. Today I'm just going to do quite a small one that maybe quite a large piece can be built off of, so I'm only focusing on one small area of the head. You need 2 pieces of Sinamay to do this, and when you get the Sinamay you need to be able to dampen it in water. It doesn't need to be dampened for very long, you can just put it underneath the tap. But what this does is it softens up the structure of the fabric, and then you can start to pull and bend it. You need to use glass-headed pins when you're attaching it onto the head. If you just use ordinary metal pins with the small heads, the more likely situation is that it's going to go into the polystyrene head and it's not going to take. The holes in the Sinamay are quite large, and obviously these pins will sit in the top side of it. Right, what we're going to do is we're going to actually apply this on, and we're going to be doing a pulling and stretching movement. And when I'm doing it, I'm wanting to make sure that I'm applying the pins further away from maybe the area that I'm going to have as my finished piece. If you have it too close to it, it's going to ruin the quality of your final outcome. I start at the forehead. The next pin that I put in is at the back of the head. I then think about my clock structure, and I think about doing a 3 o'clock and a 9 o'clock. And all the time I'm pulling it taut. And I need to work in the area in between, and I probably will need 2 pins to do that. I wouldn't just stick with 1 pin. If you stick with 1 pin, you'll probably get some ridging of the fabric. So this actually is quite a quick process. It's quite enjoyable to do as well. Right, so what I'm going to do now, before I put the next layer on top, is that I'm going to take the milliner's stiffener fabric, which is like a PVA solution, and I'm going to apply some of this on top. Unfortunately, it normally comes in a spray canister, but because it's got a glue on the inside, it sometimes gets a bit stuck. I'm just going to put a bit of water on top of that.
Could you use PVA as an alternative, or does it have to be the...
You probably could use that as an alternative. This was just what we got at the time, and we've got lots of it, so there's no issues. Put a wee bit of water on it as well, just to make sure that it's going all over the head. And I'm going to take my second piece of Sinamay. Again, dampening it so it becomes pliable, movable. And this time when I apply it on, I've got to think carefully. The structure of the way that the Sinamay has been applied on, you can see that it's in grids. The first layer has been put on a diagonal, so now this time I need to put it on kind of at a slight angle to the original way, and that's going to try and give some strength to it. So if I lay it the same way as it is the first way I applied it and then move it round a little bit, that should give me like an opposite. And then again, it's the same technique. Forehead, back of the head. Now if you're clever and you can actually work with the pins quite well, you can actually remove the ones you've already got there. If you're not very good at doing it, then you can just use extra pins. So it's again pulling, tightening, moulding. Oops. Now the Sinamay actually dries quite quickly, which is really good. You can speed up the drying process by using heat on it through a hairdryer, but you can leave it overnight, and by the time you come in for your next lesson it should be ready to take off and to start to change. Once I've got the second layer on, I'm just going to put a little bit extra of the glue on top, not too much because there's already some there. A wee bit extra water, and then I'm just going to get my hands onto it now and give it a little bit of massaging, and that's it done. Okay, doesn't look very pretty at the moment, but later on I'll show you how to improve, cut the structure out and to hem it.